Per usual, everything on this channel is for educational information and is not intended as financial advice. So it's been 7 months since I did an altcoin video. It's about time. Some of these are looking pretty ripe for a nice move. Now this is a super old fun strat chart laying out alt season. I'm going to use this to try to quantitatively make some determinations on where we're at. As of April, 3% of alts were at 200% over the past 3 months, which is what this chart is showing. If you don't understand this chart, just read it over a couple times. Basically, anytime alts have been above a 3x gain for an extended period of time, it's been alt season, quote unquote alt season, whatever. So using that as like the backdrop metric, and if we compare that to BTC dominance, we can see that all the alt seasons have been during a period where BTC dominance is below the 200 EMA. I'm not one to like put TA on dominance, but it is what it is. Most recently, we've been below the 200 on the BTC dominance during the LTC and EOS bull rally, and then that quickly got faded as far as the dominance is concerned. So since then, we've been above the 200 EMA. Arguably since July 2018, we've been above the 200 EMA. So this is another reason quantitatively, perhaps, why we haven't had an alt season broadly since January, December 2017, January 2018, that sort of thing. Another thing I noticed is that even I'm guilty of this. I assume that alt season can only happen when BTC is sideways, consolidating, that sort of thing. There's been plenty of periods where BTC is consolidated, but there's been really no gains in alt dominance. BTC dominance didn't drop when BTC was consolidating, barring this small time period in February, March. The other thing I noticed, we can go up on BTC, we can go down on BTC. It doesn't really matter. As far as alt season, there's a rotation narrative. If BTC is going up, people are going to start rotating elsewhere to look for gains. The other thing I noticed, the past 2 alt seasons were a massive drop in BTC dominance, like 30 to 40%. That would bring us to 50% to 40% dominance on the BTC scale, which seems insane to me. But if we drop below the 200, it's certainly possible. And like I said, that July date is important because that's when the ICO boom basically was a bust at that point. And again, if you look at this quantitatively, if we look at token sales and money raised, July 2018, when we broke 200 on the EMA for BTC dominance, is kind of when everything just cooled off monetarily, and the number of raises both just sort of died off. So I have a lot of charts, probably going to be 3 videos, definitely 2 videos. I'm going to lose most of you towards the end, so comment, subscribe, hit me up on Twitter, yada, yada, yada. So this is a total crypto cap minus BTC. I've never looked at it with VPVR, so I don't even know if this is meaningful, but on all these charts, you're going to see a few things. You're going to see a line chart instead of candles. You're going to see cloud. You're going to see 200 EMA, 50 EMA. You're going to see RSI. You're going to see some minimal markups. Towards the end, I'm probably going to be repeating myself because it's basically the same thing over and over again. But this is the kind of screening process I need to get through all these in a day. In a couple hours, I can just zip through all this stuff. So it doesn't need to be sophisticated at like the high level. You're looking at the forest, not the trees, at least when I'm screening for stuff that I want to get into. I'm not looking at like 4-hour candles. No, I'm looking at broadly what's going on, right? Common sense, hopefully. So I'd like to see, generally, I want to see everything above the 200, everything above the cloud. I'm going to say that over and over again on all these, and you'll see exactly what I mean. Hopefully you'll know what I'm about to say. What I see on the crypto cap minus BTC, definitely not like buy signal stuff. It's definitely on support, previous resistance. Again, not a look I want if I'm trying to get into alts. I'd rather it be, above the cloud, above the 200. So keep that in mind in the back of your head. That's just a broad, everything in one basket. Clearly, individual alts are going to look a little different. So we'll start with ETH. And the biggest thing I noticed with ETH is the volume on Bitfinex has just dropped off to zero. Similar to the CryptoCap chart, it's below previous resistance. So maybe that's resistance again at 160. If it can break above 160, above the 200, above the cloud, then it's a different story. If it can break above 200 USD, that's a big psychological level. On the BTC pair, it looks like it's failed potential Kumo breakout, but it's above support overall. It's below, psychological 0.02. So not a great read on ETH BTC or ETH USD here. The other thing you'll notice is I have USD on the left, BTC pairs on the right, and I have RSI here mainly just to look at divergences, and there's quite a few on some of these charts. XRP, again, not a buy. Trend-wise, it's below everything. Minimal bull div there. Again, on the BTC pair, similar to ETH, it looks like it's a failed potential Kumo breakout. You're going to want it up here. It's worth a watch. It's worth putting an alert on the 200 EMA to check that out, or just a diagonal at like 4,000 sats, something like that. But overall, again, it's below all the trend metrics. Nothing you want to touch. Bcash, I would never trade this anyway. Again, volume way down on Bitstamp. It does have a bull div on the USD pair. BTC pair looks like a failed Kumo breakout again, just like the other high cap stuff. The mid to low cap stuff actually looks better on the BTC pairs than most of the high cap stuff. LTC, again, below all trend metrics. No bull div here. Volumes died off to nothing. On the BTC pair, it's near historic lows. I mean, there really isn't much left down here. Halving was August 5th, and it's just been straight down ever since. So unless it's above 55, it's really not a buy for me. These previous congestion zones, it's way below that at this point at 45. And the BTC pair definitely doesn't look any good. EOS, similar story to ETH and LTC. It's kind of below its previous resistance. So that should be resistance again, like 286. It had this nice Adam Eve below the cloud, below the 200. You want to see it above 350, let's say. And again, volume on Bitfinex just gone to near zero for a lot of these pairs. EOS BTC actually looks pretty good. I'm going to mention this on quite a few charts. You'll notice like it's basing, so it's just like flatline ranging for like 2 months, 3 months, 4 months. In general, when you see that, that's usually an accumulation period. Or a distribution if it's at a high. So if this breaks below the cloud, then we can say, okay, it's probably going to 2.4 or whatever. But if it gets the Kumo breakout, above 0.004, and that just put an alert on that and you're good to go. And over time, you could argue ascending triangle, but that's something you definitely got to watch. It's got plenty of higher lows here. It's definitely resistance at a horizontal. So worth watching over the next 6 months. Not anything I would touch at the moment. BNB. There's quite a few alts that have this like weird head and shoulders at the bottom-ish sort of vibes. Doesn't look great. There is a bull div here. It's way below anything I'd want to touch. It's probably, cloud's going to come down eventually to probably between 17 and 20. 200 is going to come down between 17 and 20. So it's definitely a place you'd want to look to buy. Anytime I'm drawing in this white squiggle, that's what I'm talking about. It's also at the previous like local high here. So that's the zone I'd watch. Anything above 17 over the next 6 months. And just to highlight like what you want to look for in general, you want to look for the Kumo breakout with the break above the 200. Like that's the gold standard for any trade that I'm looking for as far as trend goes. You saw it on the USD pair, you saw it on the BTC pair, and it doesn't always go, right? But the probability is that it's going to have some momentum when that happens. And it did in both cases for this specifically. Obviously, BNB is a bit of a unicorn in that respect, but there are other charts that do look like that now. The BTC pair for BNB, again, you'd want it above 0.0022 probably. It's getting there, but it's got another couple months into January, February. BSV, nothing I'd touch. I have nothing to say about this other than basically 4 people have it, so the supply is completely rigged and not in your favor. Trend metrics aren't great either. It looks like it's about to fall below the cloud. It's below the cloud and the 200 on the USD pair. XTZ, now I haven't seen this amount of cheerleading for any coin in a long time. So maybe it's just the people I follow on Twitter. I don't know. It definitely looks good. Don't get me wrong. I mean, this chart looks unlike most other charts in that it's above the trend metrics. It's above the 200. It's above the cloud. It's got this bullish Kumo twist for the first time in 8 months, whatever this is. It's above all this volume congestion. This definitely looks like it's going for all-time highs plus eventually. It does have a pretty big and growing bear div, so that's something I'd watch if you're looking to get into it. Again, not investment advice, but it does look different in a good way compared to everything else. BTC pair, same thing. Massive bear div going on here. Cloud, this massive TK disequilibrium C-clamp business. Cloud likes it back to 14K sats eventually. I don't know when that's going to happen, obviously, but it wouldn't surprise me if this like head and shoulders is a little bit, unless there's some massive FOMO towards like all-time highs for USD pair. I think this is going to chill out for a little bit. So I could be wrong. It's definitely something worth watching going forward. Stellar burned half their supply. You wouldn't know it on the chart, obviously. It's below the 2017 all-time high. I cut that off mainly just for the VPVR profile. But you can see it's been below the cloud, below the 200 since 2018, late 2018. It does have a decent case for a bull div with a falling wedge here. Similar to Zeke, actually. Zcash looks decent from that respect as well. I'll get to that one later. BTC pair looks much like ETH and some of the other pairs, EOS, where it had this like failed bullish Kumo breakout. It's still got plenty of time, worth watching. Again, put an alert on like the 200 or some 1K sats, something like that, and come back to it later in the year.